for December the 16th, 2025. Attendance has been taken, noting that Councillor Chambers is not with us tonight. He's not feeling very well, so if he feels better, he might join, but if not, he's not going to be here tonight. Attendance has been taken. That's done. Land acknowledgement. Councillor Bell, you're going to do that for us?
Yes, I shall. As we gather, we acknowledge that we meet on the lands and territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, Six Nations of the Grand River, and the traditional territory of the Attiwonderunk. We remind ourselves that the County of Brant is situated on lands that are full of rich Indigenous history and home to many First Nations, Inuit and Métis people today. We recognise the significance of their contributions to the past, present and future of this land. As a county, we have a shared responsibility for the stewardship of the land on which we live and work, and a commitment to the Truth and Reconciliation calls to action. We commit to continue learning, reflecting on our past, and working in allyship.
Thank you, Councillor Bell. It takes us to number 3 on the agenda, which is the approval of the agenda. You have it in front of you, noting that there is an addendum. I think everyone has that. Okay, Councillor Oakley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Miller that the County of Brant Council Agenda and Addendum of December 16th, 2025 be approved.
Any questions to the agenda, Councillor Miller?
Yes, not a question, Mr. Mayor. I was wondering, question. I was wondering if I could add an item under other business, item 13.
Yep, not a problem at all.
Thank you.
Yep. Anybody else have anything? Seeing none, call the vote. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Declaration of pecuniary interest. Does anyone see one that's obvious? No? If something comes up, please let me be the first one to know. Takes us to number 5 on the agenda, which is the delegations. 5.1, which is Angie Petrella. There you are. Hello. You have 10 minutes to speak to us, and then we'll open it up to questions. If you can just give us your full name and your address, please.
Sure. So thank you for having me, members of council and Mayor Bailey. My name is Angie Petrella, and I live at 53 King William Street in St. George here in Brant County. I have to be honest, I've never done anything like this before. I'm no public speaker, let alone an activist or a professional delegate. But here's what I do know. Politics isn't just for professionals or experts. Politics includes all people. And I've been listening not just to one issue, but to everything that's been happening at all levels of the government. And I know that I'm not alone and that people across the province and in this very county are also paying attention and are watching what we do here tonight. I'm here to talk about the provincial proposal to amalgamate our conservation authorities, but we can't look at this one proposal in a vacuum because it's a symptom of a much larger disease. This proposal is only one piece of a coordinated effort to rewrite the rules of our province in favor of a handful of wealthy, well-connected insiders at the expense of everyone else. Let's talk about what that future looks like if this continues. I'd like to paint a clear picture, if I may. The year is 2035. You wake up to news of another unprecedented storm coming through that afternoon. But there's no local conservation authority to call anymore because they were dissolved years ago. You have no idea whether you should stay in place or prepare to evacuate your home. The regional mega authority is headquartered likely in London, hundreds of kilometers away, and they've never even visited our watershed. A flood warning comes, but it's 6 hours too late because the staff who knew our rivers and understood our ice jam risks, they were all let go in 2026. Your basement gets flooded, your neighbor's business gets destroyed, and your insurance company has just informed you that flood coverage in Brant County has tripled or been dropped entirely because without local oversight, now we're considered high risk. You turn on the tap. The water that comes out costs 3 times what it did in 2025. The corporation that owns it, because yes, it's a corporation now with shareholders and profit margins, has raised rates every year since the public utility was converted under Bill 60. There are rumors about water quality issues, but the testing has been privatized and results aren't published publicly anymore. You remember Walkerton. You remember Hamilton's sewage disaster, and you wonder, are we next? Your children are now in their 40s and still live at home, not because they want to, but because they have no choice. The average home in Brant County now costs over $1 million. They went to college and make decent money, much more than you did at their age. But after rent and grocery prices exploded, healthcare was privatized, and wages stagnated, saving for a down payment became out of the question. The homes that Ford's government promised were built on floodplains that the old Conservation Authority would never have approved, and half of them have flooded twice already. The other half sit empty, bought up by investors who rent them out at prices your kids can't afford. Meanwhile, the Highway 413 that ended up costing us not $4 billion, but closer to $30 billion due to inflation and skilled labor shortages, has made the commute to Toronto shorter, but only for the wealthy few who can afford to live in the sprawling subdivisions that are built on what used to be farmland and wetlands. But those wetlands were our natural flood barriers, and now every spring brings another emergency, another evacuation, and another insurance claim that won't be covered. Up north, the Ring of Fire is in full extraction mode. The peatland that stored 35 billion tons of carbon has been destroyed, and that carbon has been released into the atmosphere. Acid mine drainage has poisoned the rivers, and the indigenous communities that depended on those waters have been devastated. And all that previously stored carbon is not just up north, but in our air now too, driving the extreme weather that's battering Brant County every year. The summers are hotter, the storms are more violent, and the floods are more frequent. But the systems that were designed to protect us, like the conservation authorities, the Clean Water Act, and the environmental assessments, are all gone because this government said it was red tape. The downtown dig has been completed, and the new streetscape is beautiful with upgraded sidewalks, new street furniture, and modern lighting. It's everything they promised it would be, except for one thing. The streets are empty. What was meant to create a vibrant, thriving downtown is a ghost town because small businesses couldn't survive the repeated flooding, the skyrocketing insurance costs, and the loss of local decision-making power, not to mention increased crime rates, severe labor shortages, and rising interest rates. The big corporations moved in where they could make a profit, and everyone else left. This may come across as fear-mongering, but this is just a possible yet predictable outcome of the path that we're currently on. From my position, I see a future where the dream of owning a home is essentially a fantasy, especially here in Brant County. For my parents' generation, it took about 5 years to save for a down payment. For me, it's 24 years. When they were my age, they held over 21% of Canada's real estate wealth. My generation holds just 5%. I see a future where we are a generation of permanent renters paying off someone else's mortgage, while this government hands over more public land like Ontario Place to build luxury spas for the rich, paid for with $500 million taxpayer-funded parking garages. I see a future with an aging population that will require increased doctor's appointments, specialist appointments, hospital visits, and PSWs, but also one where Ford's government has made it so difficult for healthcare employers to recruit staff that it directly degrades the quality of life for seniors. Home care agencies will be unable to fulfill requests, and any seniors that are hoping to age in place will be in for a rude awakening when they're forced into institutional care prematurely because no one's available to help them with basic daily tasks like bathing or medication. I see a future where fewer babies are being born in Ontario due to loss of trust and belief in our government and the entire system. With the natural birth rate unable to replace the workforce, projections are already showing that 100% of net labor force growth will come from immigration starting around 2031. I also see a future where you can't even trust the water that comes out of your tap unless you've paid for a subscription to a clean water delivery service. This becomes a standard household expense because our public systems have been sold off to private corporations legally required to pursue profit above all else. They are destroying the Clean Water Act and creating the legal framework to hand over our water infrastructure to companies that answer to shareholders, not to us. This is the law that was created after 7 people died in Walkerton thanks to privatization of water and how it was being tested or not tested. Most of us have seen this movie before. In Hamilton, privatization also led to nearly 200 million liters of raw sewage dumping into the harbor. This is the efficiency they're selling us. Finally, I see a future where our environment is a sacrifice zone, a future where the air we breathe and the water we drink are contaminated by projects like the Ring of Fire, which is the mining development I'm sure you know about that threatens to release a literal carbon bomb from the second largest peatland in the world. A future where our local conservation authority, with its 70 years of expertise protecting us from flooding like it did right here in Brant County just this past March, is replaced by a distant, powerless bureaucracy that rubber stamps development on our floodplains. This is the future that's being built by Bills 56, 60, and 68, among others, but we'll focus on these. And this isn't just an accident, it's a plan. And when I'm suspicious, I always follow the money, and we can see it clearly in the receipts. The Auditor General's newest report details a government that has a blatant disregard for the public's rights, a government that spent a record-breaking $111.9 million of our money on partisan advertising that illegally shut down the environmental registry during public comment periods. A government that is still under an active RCMP criminal investigation for the $8.3 billion Greenbelt scandal. This is not a government that is working for the people. This is a government that is working for its friends. And when we, the people, try to hold them accountable, we're met with silence. I've reached out to our MPP, Will Bauma, multiple times with multiple concerns about multiple bills passed in 2025. I have sent emails and tried to be an engaged citizen, and in return, I've heard nothing from him. Absolute silence. Yet, I see he has time for photo ops and to fly across the country to talk about his Jail Not Bail campaign. It appears he has time for everything except for the people who pay his salary. This is the future we are heading towards, a future of unaccountable power where the watchdogs are ignored, the public is silenced, and our future is sold off piece by piece. My father passed away recently. He worked his whole life to give me a chance at a good future. And some days I look at the future this government is building and I think about how disappointed he would be. We talked about this a lot. And when I told him I wanted to speak up about these issues or even maybe run for office one day, he had actively encouraged me to do so and would be proud to see me here tonight. So that's what brings me here tonight. I'm asking you to help us get our future back. More formally, I'm asking you to use your power as our elected council to stand up for Brant County. I'm asking you to pass a resolution tonight calling on the Ombudsman to investigate the administrative unfairness of this Conservation Authority amalgamation. And I'm asking you to send a clear message to the province that we, the people of Brant County, will not stand by while our future is sold off. There are 4 things that you as a council can do to help us achieve this. First, you can pass a motion to formally tell the province that Brant County opposes the amalgamation of our conservation authorities. You are able to submit a comment until December 22nd, 2025 to the ERO on our behalf, demanding that they withdraw this reckless plan as many other cities and counties have done. Second, you can direct staff to begin a risk assessment on what this amalgamation will actually cost us. What will it do to our municipal insurance, our emergency services, and the property insurance rates of every homeowner in this county? Third, you can pass a clear resolution that Brant County's drinking water and wastewater systems are essential public services, not for-profit commodities, and that this council will fight any attempt to privatize them. And finally, you can send a formal letter signed by all of you to MPP Will Bauma and the Premier, outline our opposition, and request that they come here for a local, in-person public consultation before they take any further action. This isn't a partisan issue, and it's not about left versus right. It's a matter of right versus wrong. And whether we'll have a government that continues to work for its people or a government that works for the powerful. So please be the leaders that you were elected to be, and give me a reason to believe that my future, the future of my generation, and the future of the generations that come after me is worth fighting for. Thank you.
Well, first of all, thank you for someone who's not used to public speaking or speaking out. You've done a wonderful job.
Thank you.
No, you really have. It was well done and well orchestrated, and I think well received. I'm going to open it up to council now for comments and questions to you or to each other as to how we want to proceed. Council, questions, comments? Councillor Oakley.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, actually to staff, in regards to last week at our admin and ops meeting, we discussed information feedback for the proposed regional consolidation of Ontario's conservation authorities. I believe we are sending those comments in, is that correct? By the date? And I believe the general theme of it is concern. So I believe it to the delegations, that response from the delegation, we have checked that box as of last week, and we will be affirming that this evening, provided we pass the committee report to go. That will go out by the deadline there. So I just wanted to highlight that.
Yeah. Councillor Bell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And thanks to the presenter. It really was very good, prompting a lot of questions. My questions are not so much to the presenter, but again to staff. I don't think we've had a report or any staff view on the issue of potentially the drinking water and wastewater treatment services being privatised. My reading in the press says that's not what's intended, but are our staff able to comment on it and maybe read between the lines?
Alison.
Through your worship to Councillor Bell. You're correct. At this point, we're sort of monitoring for more information to come out. I don't know that we've been able to do a fulsome analysis at this point, but Dave Miller is on the line and can speak more to where staff are on this matter.
Sure. So that bill in general, it's only applicable to Peel right now. So essentially what it's done is it's pushed the responsibility from the upper tier government, the region of Peel, to the lower tier government. And then, to the delegation's point, there is a corporation that's being set. So right now, that bill is very broad. It doesn't have regulation supporting it. It doesn't answer questions, what are council's responsibilities in those single tier or upper tier municipalities. And that will be, my understanding is that will be fleshed out in the future. It's very much at its infancy as almost a pilot test. That's what we know today.
Thank you. As some of you will know, I come from England. And in England, water was privatised about 20 years ago, and it has gone very, very badly. It has been turned into a place where people are out to make money, not to provide service, and I would hate that we went the same way in Canada.
Councillor Oakley.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, just I'd like to agree with Councillor Bell's comments, and that I think we should keep a careful eye on that, because it would be, I think, very much to the public's, very much a negative to the public to see that our water systems be privatized like that. To the delegate specifically, have you had a chance to review the proposed resolution that is attached to our agenda today from the Grand River Conservation Authority?
I have not yet.
Okay.
But I did want to just mention that that the corporations they've chosen to incorporate under this bill are under the Business Corporations Act, which legally requires them to pursue profit. And they could have used a Municipal Services Corporation Act, which can't be privatized, and chose not to.
Through the mayor and to the delegation, just back on the resolution that is suggested to us by the Conservation Authority that'll be on our agenda later this evening. I will be reviewing that this evening as it's on our agenda. So I think that may help address some of your concerns if we were to pass it in regards to making a sort of a specific stance from the county perspective, opposing this as well. So I just want to highlight that's on our agenda as well to you.
Okay. I'll take a look.
Are there any other questions to the delegate? Seeing none, thank you for your presentation. I think you will be pleased after tonight's meeting. We do have things that are concerning you on our agenda tonight. And they concern all of us. And you know what? As much as it seemed very partisan when you were speaking, I know that it wasn't. I feel that it wasn't. You're just dealing with the people that are in place right now. And if there were other people, you would be talking to them the same way. So thank you for that. And I do realize that it isn't partisan. It wasn't left or right. It was right or wrong. And I do believe that. So thank you for your presentation. It was very, very well done. And we'll get back to you. In fact, we'll keep you in the loop and send you a copy of whatever happens tonight. I'll make sure that staff gives me an extra copy and you can pick it up at my house. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye.
Okay. Council, can I get somebody to receive the delegation as information? Councillor Oakley and Councillor Kyle. All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Takes us to number 6 on the agenda, which is the adoption of the minutes from the previous meeting. Councillor McAlpine.
Moved by myself, second by Councillor Coleman, that the County of Brant Council minutes of November 25th, 2025 be approved.
Does anyone have any questions to those minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor to receive those minutes? Opposed? Carried. Any business arising from those minutes? Moving on to consent items. We don't have any consent items to be approved. We have consent items to be received, which is 8.2, and we have 11 of them. Now, does anyone want to have them pulled for discussion or to have them redone? Councillor Miller?
Could we please pull 8.2.7?
8.2.7? Yep. Councillor Bell?
8.2.3, please, Mr. Mayor.
Anybody else have anything they want pulled for discussion? Seeing none, call the vote on everything but 3 and 7. All those in favor to receive? Opposed, carried. Let's talk to number 3 first, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's the OPP report, and each month I scroll through them. Page 46 talks about criminal code and provincial statute charges laid. And 2 things struck me on that page. One is, in respect of the Highway Traffic Act, the numbers are way down, which then you compound it with, when you look at the next chart, the number of tickets for speeding has dropped considerably. And it's the latter one that really I found a little troubling. This comes on top of us taking away automatic speed enforcement. How do we communicate to our community that we are taking this issue seriously? I'm sure many of you get the same number of emails that I get complaining about speeding. And yet it looks like we're actually backing off. We dropped ASE. We don't have the same coverage from the OPP. It kind of is a license for people to do what they like. And I wondered if the members of the police board might, A, comment on it, and B, take that feedback back to the next OPP detachment board.
Well, that's myself and Councillor Pierce. We saw these statistics and graphs before tonight. So, Councillor Pierce is the liaison between council and the OPP. Do you want to comment or just take it back?
Well, I'll do both. I'll definitely take it back. But we do know, and it was noted, I believe, a couple of months ago, that because there was a shortage, they had to move one of the traffic management officers back to front line, but that has now been rectified and they are at full capacity with the traffic management officers that were allotted, and also there's been a turnover of the officers that were in those positions. So it was noted that the next set of stats that come out will be different, because it will show that they do have a full complement of staff again back within the traffic management. But I will take it back for sure. And it was definitely something that was noticed at the meeting, so.
Thank you.
Any other questions on number 3? Seeing none, can we vote on number 3, please? All those in favor of receiving it? I need a seconder. Councillor House. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. We're now going to speak to number 7, which is the Brantford Social Services budget. Councillor Miller?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just it should be pointed out that the city has approved the base operating budget for social services, and they also approved the capital budget. Capital budget has been unchanged from 2025. The base operating budget for the county and the city represents a 6.49% increase. What's not included in the city motion is approval of the additional budget requests. And there was 2. There was 4 housing stability worker positions that were requested, and there was an additional 2 people requested for community initiative coordinator positions. Which, it's a little bit odd in that at social services, they were approved. That budget was also presented to us. We didn't say anything about those positions, so we were okay with it. But then it went to the city for their budget, and that's what they approved. So I wasn't sure what the options were at this point. I know the city is in charge of social services, and we're just a junior partner there. But did we leave it up to you, the mayor, to put it in your budget? Do we leave it and wait and see what fits in the city's budget? Wasn't quite sure how to do it. I did ask Heather, and I don't know if you wanted Heather Boyd to walk us through what the next steps could be, should be, would be.
Heather? Where is she?
Thank you, through the mayor. So going back to our social services, the joint services agreement, the process is that the social services committee creates their draft budget. That budget was presented to county council, and we accepted it as written. And then the next step is the city council review, which they can make amendments to it. So they obviously made some amendments to it. Our process is, it just needs to be delivered to us to be included in our budget. So no matter what we budget for it, we will be paying what the city approves is going to be the final amount. But we do have an option, if council's not satisfied with the city's budget, we could refer it to dispute resolution within 60 days of receiving it, which would be January 27th. That's our process under the agreement.
Councillor Miller?
I'm not ready to refer to anything, but I did find it a little bit confusing, I guess. Like I said, when I seen 6 members of the city put up their hand at social services and approve it, and then when it came time for them to approve it at city council, it wasn't approved as it was at social services. So I'm not sure where to go with it at this point, Mr. Mayor. But I just wanted to make sure, at least bring it to everyone's attention, and let them know this is what has transpired.
Councillor Bell?
Yeah, I think, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think Councillor Miller has covered most of it, but I'm a little troubled by the fact that in social services, it was unanimously approved by 6 members from the county and 6 members from the city. When I looked at the estimates committee meeting that the city had, it didn't even get discussed. And I just wonder how we address that, because it makes me say, well, why do you have a social services committee if we collectively say, yes, this is the right thing to do? It doesn't even get discussed in city council. Now, it may be a part of the process I don't understand, but I do think we need to be prepared to go into the liaison committee if it's January, so it's January, but I think we need to follow this one through. I need to understand the process by which the city is managing this part of their business, which directly affects us.
Councillor Oakley.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, I'm feeling very much the same way as my colleagues here. I'm kind of disturbed by this in that, you know, we approved this at Social Services, and, you know, our joint services, whether it's social services or paramedics, my understanding has always been that what comes out of the committee is what gets approved, you know. I think there would have been quite the stir if, you know, when paramedics came back to us, we went and added that half ambulance back in and said, well, it's our budget, we're gonna do what we want with it. So I would find it disturbing that this would happen here, especially when the roles, as was discussed at social services, are absolutely vital, cost-effective ways of managing homelessness in our shared community, and far cheaper than what will happen to folks who are using those services if those services stop. So I'm very disturbed by this, and absolutely, if it requires us going to the liaison committee, we absolutely should do that, because in my mind, we passed at social services, that's what should be in front of us. We had a good discussion at the time, and there's really no reason why those decision packages should not be included.
I think because this has come up before recently, and it's bothering us, and we're not sure of things, we're not clear of things, I think we do need a motion to take it to another committee to go through it again, just so that when we're told why it's happened this way, we either will agree with that or we won't, but at least we'll be clear in the process for the next time. We're not exactly sure as to how it all happened. So I'm seeking a motion then to direct it back to liaison. Councillor Oakley, Councillor Bell, do you want to give the clerk more direction on the motion?
For sure, Mr. Mayor. I would resolve that we direct this back to staff to investigate, and if it is required to resolve the missing budget direction from social services, to request a meeting of the liaison committee, if that works.
Councillor Bell, you're good with that wording? Any other discussion or comments before we call the vote? Councillor Miller?
Yeah, no, I like, maybe we can leave it with our CEO to deal with, or staff, because based on what we see and what they've approved, it looks like they're not going with what was approved at social services, what was approved at county council, but maybe we're missing something. I don't know, maybe it's, I don't know. Maybe there's another explanation, but from where I sit right now, it looks like the liaison committee would be the way to go, but yeah, I like the idea of maybe looking into it first and seeing where we're at. So I'll support the motion.
Yeah. Okay. Any other comments, questions? I don't think it should seem hostile either. I think it's just clarification that we're looking for, because a couple of things have come up that haven't sat right with us, and we don't want to accuse anybody of doing anything. It's maybe just a misunderstanding with the city, and if that's the truth, we just need to be told that. So with that being said, if there's no other comments, we'll call the vote. All those in favor? Opposed and carried. Thanks, Councillor Miller. Okay. Committee reports, administration and operations. Councillor Pierce, that's you.
It is, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Howes, that the Administration and Operations Committee report minutes of December 9th, 2025 be approved, noting that there are 12 recommendations.
Are there any questions to Councillor Pierce or his report? Seeing none, all those in favor to receive the report? Opposed? Carried? Number 10.1 is the Drinks Fest control bylaw exemption. Who has that? I need a mover to get it on the floor. Councillor Oakley is going to put it on the floor. I need a seconder. Councillor Kyle. Conversation, questions. Councillor Oakley.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. I won't say too much, as we've had lots of conversation on this topic. The new information here would be the public feedback received. We've received, I believe, to my count, 7 comments requesting it not go forward. We've received, I believe, across both in here and some emails, 3 pieces of communication requesting it to go forward. And I think also with it being clear, 5% of the population of County of Brant attended the last event, I think it's clear that it's in the public best interest for this to continue.
Councillor House, and then Councillor Bell.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, and in response to my ward mate's comments, I like the organizers of this event, and they put on a good event. However, I remain firm in my previous position on this, in that it's time for this event to find a new home. And I hope, and I wish them all the greatest success, and I hope they do find a home that suits the event better if this doesn't go through. So just explaining my position on this.
Councillor Bell.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I too do not support this. I won't go over all my comments from the past. I do believe Silapse is not an appropriate place for an event of this kind. I think the feedback we've had reflects previous poor experience from a number of our residents. And to Councillor Oakley's comment about 5% of the county attending, 5% of the county don't actually live next door to Silapse. These are people that live next door to Silapse. These are the people that feel it. And I know it's really about, we're talking about noise here, but the respondents did cover other issues that do point to the fact that Silapse is really not the place for this event. So I will not support it.
Councillor Miller.
If we could be clear on the recommendation, because the recommendation before us has grant or not grant in that clause. So I think you're going with grant, but I think it needs to be stated.
Councillor Oakley.
Through the mayor, yes. To clarify, I would be moving the resolution in the affirmative that council grant a noise bylaw exemption.
Any other questions or comments? Councillor McAlpine.
I think the group that's putting this together, the idea was that they were willing to move it in a couple of years' time when the park comes available for it. And so if we're allowing it to continue here for the next year or so, so that to a maximum, I think it's 3 years, then I think it might be reasonable to allow them to do this in the interim.
Okay. Any other questions? Just noting that this item and this issue has been the most disturbing and the most confusing thing that this council, me as the mayor, has ever gone through in almost 7 years, just because we weren't clear on the initial way we were voting, and there was no way out of it for us. And it was very confusing. If you watched the last meeting, we just sort of sat here in a bit of a daze because we didn't realize how we got to that position. So I hope it's more clear tonight what we're voting on and how we're voting. Everyone's clear on what we're voting? So to raise your hand is to vote for the event to happen. Is that right? For the bylaw exemption. Yeah? Any other conversation before we call the vote? All those in favor? Okay, let's put our hands down again, and I need a seconder to do that again. I need a seconder. Oh, I had Councillor Kyle. Yeah, I did. That's right, I did. Okay, call the vote again. All those in favor? Opposed? And it's defeated. Did you want to do something beyond that, Councillor Hauser, or are we just okay with that? All right, we'll move on. 11.1, communications. Communications from the Grand River Conservation Authority to Protect Ontario Act regarding the proposed consolidation of the conservation authorities. I need a mover to get on the floor. Councillor Coleman, Councillor Pierce. Conversation. Councillor Oakley.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I would be interested as well in when is appropriate moving the resolution included, the suggested resolution is included.
Okay. Who knows that? Okay, before we can do anything, apparently we have to just receive it as information. All those in favor? It's on the floor. It's been seconded. Okay. Do we want direction, Councillor Oakley, to send it somewhere else? Do we want to, Councillor Oakley?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move the sample resolution that was included here. It is on page 2 and 3 of that attached communication. The therefore clauses being, now therefore be it resolved that the Minister of the Environment, Conservation and Parks and the Chief Conservation Executive meet GRCA representatives to review the GRCA alternative proposal to Conservation Authorities consolidation, and that the Minister and the Chief Conservation Executive seriously consider the GRCA proposal for conservation authorities as it enunciates a path forward that will address the government's concerns most democratically and productively, and that this motion be circulated to the Premier of Ontario, Minister of the Environment, Conservation and Parks, Chief Conservation Executive, and local members of provincial parliament for their information action where appropriate.
Yeah. Comments? Seeking a seconder. Councillor Pierce. Comments, Councillor Miller?
I'll just say, I was really pleased with the GRCA's comments on Bill 68. We did discuss it. The provincial government, they're not ones to, if you say don't do it, they're not ones to listen. But so we're trying to work with them, and there was a lot of really good things that came out. One of them is we want to keep municipal representation. We think that's very important. It's municipalities that are footing the bill. There's a lot of historical knowledge of riverways and how they operate. And I know the presenter, Angie, talked about flooding in ice dams and whatnot. And there's so much knowledge there. And even at the last GRC, we're talking about the groundwater studies. These groundwater studies go back decades. We don't want to lose that. So what I thought the GRCA did was really good was they said, if you're going to go through with it, we understand why it makes sense on a certain level, but at the same time, maybe try and shape it this way and try and get the municipalities involved. So really like the response, and from what I've seen, I think the GRCA is actually further ahead on Bill 68 than the province is. That's just what I see. So thank you.
Councillor Oakley?
Yeah, through Mr. Mayor, I'd like to agree with Councillor Miller's comments, and just in regards to the delegation we had earlier today, this isn't as, if I was writing my own resolution, it'd probably be more hard line along the lines of what our delegation was looking for, because I'm very concerned by Bill 68, but I agree with Councillor Miller's comments, and that with this government, this is probably the way to handle it, and when we've had similar conversations around advocacy motions before, and I've written them maybe a little too pushy, I think we've moderated back to what I think, this is trying to get to here today. So I'm happy to move this resolution because I think it gets us to ultimately the same place, even if I'm a little more full of piss and vinegar.
No, I think that's a good idea. I think that's the right approach. We do have to deal with what's in front of us, so I think that's great. Is there any other conversation? It's on the floor. It's been seconded. I think the timing of the delegation was right to have us thinking exactly the way we should be thinking. And what some of you might not know is that the only thing that the mayor is personally responsible for and can be charged with is the quality of the water. So I'm certainly in support of doing the right thing so the water is the right color and comes out at the right time, always. So with that being said, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Knowing that we can always write another letter on our own if people want to dig a little bit deeper. But I think the delegation from tonight will be pleased with what we've done. I hope so. Number 12 is a resolution. Councillor Kyle. You have one, and we need a seconder?
Yes.
Councillor McAlpine.
Okay, perfect. So my resolution is in our package, so because it's a lengthy one, I'm just going to focus on the therefore be it resolved that the Council of the County of Brant proudly supports the goals of the Elect Respect campaign and affirms its commitment to fostering a culture of civility, inclusion, and integrity in all aspects of local government. To that end, Council commits to treating one another and all members of the public with respect and professionalism, whether in person, in meetings, or online, speaking out against harassment, bullying, and personal attacks whenever they occur, keeping our debates focused on ideas, issues, and policies, never on individuals, working together to create a welcoming, supportive environment where people of all backgrounds feel encouraged and safe to run for and serve in public office, urging the appropriate authorities to act swiftly to protect elected officials who are subject to threats or intimidation, and leading by example, demonstrating integrity, empathy, and respect in every interaction. And that the Council of the County of Brant encourages other elected officials, community organizations, and residents to join in this commitment by learning more and signing the Elect Respect Pledge at www.electrespect.ca, and that a copy of this resolution be shared with the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, MPPs Will Bauma, Brian Riddell, and Ernie Hardeman, MPs Larry Brock and Dan Muse, and the Ontario Provincial Police Brant Detachment. So I do have some comments as well, if that's okay.
Perfect, thank you.
So I'm bringing this resolution forward tonight because I believe that how we engage with one another in this chamber, in our communities, and online matters a lot to the health of our democracy. Across the province, we've all seen an increase in hostility, harassment, and negativity directed at elected officials, and unfortunately, that kind of behavior discourages good people from putting their names forward, particularly women and individuals from diverse backgrounds who already face additional barriers to participation. Some of you may recognize this resolution. Versions of it have come before many municipal councils across Ontario in recent months. Each of those councils has taken the same step we're considering tonight, publicly affirming a commitment to respectful, civil, and inclusive political dialogue. The Elect Respect campaign began in Halton Region when a group of elected women called HER, which stands for Halton Elected Representatives, came together to call for a healthier democratic culture. It's about ensuring that our council chambers, committee tables, and community spaces remain places where ideas can be debated respectfully and where everyone feels safe to participate. And I do also think it's especially important that we're having this conversation as we look ahead to next year's municipal election. As we all know, election seasons bring out passionate debate, which is good, but they can also magnify division and negativity, particularly online. By adopting this resolution, the County of Brant can take a proactive stance, reminding our community, our candidates, and ourselves that local democracy works best when it's grounded in respect, integrity, and constructive discussion. Just a few weeks ago, we saw that spirit in action when we had a group of grade 6 students here from Hope Reformed Christian School, and they held a mock council meeting right here in the chamber. They debated several decision items with curiosity, enthusiasm, thoughtfulness, compassion, and most importantly, respect. They asked good questions, they listened to one another, and they showed us that it's absolutely possible to disagree without being disagreeable. We could all take a page out of their book, and we all also have a responsibility to set that same example for the next generation who are watching us. So this resolution isn't about politics, it's about people. It's about committing as a council and as a community to engage with integrity, civility, and empathy, and to make sure our democracy remains something that's worth participating in. So I would respectfully ask for council's support of this resolution tonight and for the County of Brant to join municipalities across the province in standing up for respect, inclusion, and a healthy democracy.
Thanks, Councillor Kyle. Any questions to Councillor Kyle's proposal? Councillor Miller.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Kyle. So you've given a lot of thought. What do you see as the implications for Brant County Council?
So I think especially if we look towards the elections when things do get especially hairy, as we all know, I think that this serves as a good reminder to all of us to maybe think before we speak, think before we post online, and hopefully if we're modeling that to others, hopefully the majority will follow suit. I also think it's really important that as we are trying to encourage others to put their name forward, we all know that there's a lot of people, I don't know, I have lots of conversations with people and they say, oh yeah, I've thought about running for council. But then I watch a few of your meetings, or I hear about this story, that story, and then they say, I couldn't do that. I wouldn't be able to tolerate that. So I think it's especially, so women, younger folks, people from diverse backgrounds, it helps to set the stage for them to be comfortable to put their names forward, because we all know a council that is reflective of the community we're in is going to make the best decisions for the broader community. So we need people to put their names forward, whether that's for committees, whether that's for council, whether that's for different levels of government. We need people to feel comfortable to put their name forward and to step up and say, I can do that, and I would like to do that, rather than saying, woo, no, not for me.
Any other questions? Okay, it's on the floor, it's being seconded. All those in favor? Opposed and carried. That's great. Thank you for bringing that forward, Councillor Kyle. I know that the people that teach politics have called me from the college level and said that when we're asking people to watch council meetings, they use us as an example, which I thought was very wonderful, and they didn't have to tell me that, nor did they have to call me. But they also have different councils that they say, you need to watch that too, because that is what you don't want to do. And they do use us as a bar. So I think that's a testament to all of us that things are working better than not better. And I think we should all be very proud of the fact that they're using us as an example. So just know that that's happened too at a college level, more than 2 colleges, almost 3. I couldn't get verification on the 3rd one, but I know 2 does. And they came from our MP's office, the suggestions to watch Brant County Council if you want to go into politics, because it doesn't scare people away as much as it does some other councils. So thank you for bringing that up, and I'm glad that we were unanimous. Takes to number 12.2, which is proclamation for fibromyalgia. I need someone to put it on the floor for Councillor Oakley, Councillor Howes. Any discussion on that? All those in favor? Proclamation request? Thank you. And then we have one also for the first Paris Scouting. This came a little bit late to the party, but we already have okayed the Girl Guides. And the Girl Guides usually put the flag up at the same time as the Boy Scouts. So we're going to try to put it through. They were a little bit late to the party, but I think if council agrees that they should be accepted. Councillor Coleman, looking for a seconder. Councillor Kyle, thank you. All those in favor? Oh, Councillor Bell.
If I could just say something, Mr. Mayor, the volunteer recognition event, we actually recognised the first Paris Scouting group. So they are definitely a group worth reflecting and supporting, and I'm fully in support of their request.
Yeah, thank you. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Other business. Councillor Miller, you had something.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Briefly, just want to mention the Veterans Crosswalk that was brought up earlier this year. I've not seen anything come across my desk or file, so I'm just wondering, is that still on the radar? Because I know we're into budget right now. And the numbers, according to Greg Demers, it's about 7,000 for the mural. I asked the Legion how much they can come up with. They got $1,200 they can set aside. So, and then as far as where it goes, it was said, oh, we should go with a crosswalk. I seen the city's actually putting one on the road. And there's actually, it's actually not, it's not an offensive thing to veterans to actually have it on the roadway. There's many reasons. If you put it on the sidewalk, they said, well, technically people are walking over it. So, and Greg Demmer said, actually the mural sticks better to asphalt than it does to cement. Just, that has something to do with durability. But anyways, I just wondered if there's anything I could report back to the Legion on that.
I want to speak to it maybe before staff does, is that we did think that was a great idea, but we didn't think it was a great idea to just give it to Burford. We thought St. George Paris and Burford should be done at the same time, because the areas between the Cenotaph and the Legions on all 3 hubs, and I don't want it to seem like we're cherry picking any of the 3 different main hubs. I know that St. George would love one, and I know that Paris already suggested one back in the days. John Wheat wanted one from the hardware store to the cenotaph, and that had been brought up, well, a couple of years ago now, 3 years ago. So I think when pricing them, I think that's what we were waiting for, to see whether we could get three, maybe get a better price on having them put in. The one in Brantford's quite elaborate. It's quite flowery and it's quite big. I don't know that that's the one we were looking at when Councillor Wheat brought it up. It was something a little bit more simple, but I don't think we've been shown anything by staff yet. So maybe the direction to staff should be to give us options of different layouts of crosswalks. I don't know it needs to be a mural. It needs to be an acknowledgement, I think. So I don't know, Dave's here. I don't know how far staff has got with them, but I hope that council sees the reasoning for having three done at the same time and not just one done in Burford. Councillor Coleman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and let's not forget South Brant Legion too. They are part of this county and they're really close to, and Oakland is looking for a crosswalk right now. So I do know that for a fact.
Well, then maybe instead of a recommendation from staff, we should be giving maybe staff a little direction to see if we can get different variations, because there's different lengths. The one out that you're talking about, Councillor Coleman, is a much bigger scale than the one, say, in St. George or Burford. So, Dave, I don't know if you know where they would all go, and I didn't realize they were quite that expensive. So, I don't know. Dave, do you want to speak?
Through the mayor to Councillor Miller. So I believe Councillor Miller, yourself and Greg attended with the Burford Legion there. And he has met with both Paris and St. George, and to Councillor Coleman's point, he hasn't made that connection yet. And I want to say it's Oakland. There's a Legion, is that right? And so he connected with St. George and Paris, and then I actually met with the head of the Legion on Remembrance Day. So we're going to be basically planning throughout the next year and really letting them kind of dictate, what solutions would you look. St. George had a different idea than, say, Burford did, potentially something on street lights or their building is very close to the cenotaph, so a mural perhaps. So there's different options that each one is leaning towards, but certainly we can report back in the spring. And we're really lining it up for the 100th anniversary, which is next November, next Remembrance Day.
Yeah, Councillor Miller?
Yeah, just, I'm glad Dave said that, yeah. That's the goal, to have it done for the 100th anniversary, which is, 2026. I do know the Burford Legion, and Greg showed it to, the mural that they had was a very simple one, but it's a very elegant. It's two soldiers on either end, and then a red stripe, white stripe, red stripe, white stripe. So maybe they're a little further advanced out in Burford because they've been working on it for a while, but I understand how, we're the county of Brant. We want to be inclusive of all communities, but I don't want to see this slip through the cracks and not be done until 101st anniversary or 102nd. So I'll look forward to hearing back then.
No, I think that's a great idea to acknowledge that date. I think we should shoot for that date seriously, because it would be a shame to miss it. Councillor Oakley.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, I also attended the meeting with the Paris Legion and Greg Demers, and had similar conversations with them. They were interested in possibly doing something with the walkways. And I just sort of along the lines of Councillor Miller's comments with, the money that the Legion currently has towards what the cost of this would be. And my concern as well is if we get too far away from budget, I don't want there to be funding issues with this happening by that time. So I want to make sure that all this conversation happens while we're still within a scope of being able to approve things for budget, if that needs to be what happens, to get it in place before the 100th anniversary next year.
That's right. There is fundraising opportunities attached to it too. I mean, I had someone come in the last couple of weeks and give me a couple of $1,000 that was off of a crop field that they put in, and they gave back to the county, and then that's the second time. So that's $4,000 that were brought back in from the front desk here to buy something that we wouldn't have money for usually. So things like that do happen. It's not something that we wish for that don't happen. So Yeah, there's fundraising opportunities. I think if that's our goal for the 100th anniversary, then we could start doing that kind of thing right now. We're all from different wards, we all do different things, so we could maybe start tapping in on that too. So, thanks, Dave, thanks, Mr. Miller, for bringing it up. But I do hope that council agrees that it should be countywide. I just don't think it would be fair to unveil something in Burford when everyone's standing at a different cenotaph, wishing that they had been chosen first. Councillor Pierce.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor, and we can discuss this later on as well, but Councillor Miller alluded to the fact that, you know, the Paris Legion, the Burford Legion may have about $1,200 to put in. I would go so far when the time is right to suggest that we as a county should pay for it. We should not be, I appreciate the fact that the Legion has that money to put forward, but I just think of what it represents and what we represent, and I think it would behoove us not to pay for the whole thing ourselves.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I hope that comes true. Okay.
Motion forward when the time is right, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, thank you. Anybody else have anything else for other business? Seeing none, I'm looking for Councillor Bell to take us in camera.
Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Miller, that County of Brant Council convene in camera to discuss S.239(2)(c), a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality, Admin and Operations Committee in-camera report of December 9th, 2025, and RPT 0435-25, new central library site selection. S239(2)(e), litigation or potential litigation, and S.239(2)(f), advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, RPT 0425-25, Losani Homes, Nith Subdivision, OLT appeal regarding engineering administration fee.
Thank you. All those in favor? Opposed? Okay, we're back in open session, and that takes us to the bylaws. Number 15 on your agenda. Councillor Kyle, you have those?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Oakley, that bylaws number 123-25 to 126-25 be read a first time.
Okay, all those in favor of the first reading of the bylaws? Opposed? Carried. If you could do it for us again, Councillor Kyle?
Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Oakley, that bylaws number 123-25 to 126-25 be read a second time and all preambles and clauses be adopted.
Are there any questions to the second reading of the bylaws? Seeing none, all those in favor of the second reading? And if you could do it one more time, please, Councillor Kyle?
Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Oakley, that bylaws number 123-25 to 126-25 be read a third time, passed, signed, and executed.
Thank you. Vote on the third reading of the bylaws. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. That takes us to number 16 on the agenda, which is Councillors' Update. Does anyone have anything to report from any of their wards at this point? You already heard from Councillor Miller. Anything else? No? So the next thing on the agenda is the adjournment, and the next meeting will be on the Thursday for a special meeting. That being said, I need